The top story today, this is Australia voting with the United Nations to demand Israel agree to a ceasefire in Gaza. Michael Danby, clearly, this is Australia now siding with terrorist groups, with terrorist sympathisers, with useful idiots in the West who've been protesting on our streets in demanding that Israel retreats and allows the terror group to reinvigorate, to become emboldened and to continue to attack Israel and kill Jews.
Penny Wong says that Israel has a right to defend itself until it does. Now we call for a ceasefire before the Hamas depraved, demented killers and rapists are put down, and the Israelis are expected to live with this. This is just making for the next war, for the next conflict. If those Hamas madmen are left there under the control, like the Houthis and Hezbollah of Iran, the whole world will be put in peril further down the road. This is just kicking the can. And I can't believe how we didn't vote with the Austrians, the Dutch, the UK, Ukraine, Germany, and we abandoned our American allies. I'm sure Biden's very happy with Albo over this.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. Look, I think the other point that I made earlier in the night, Bridget, is that actually this is part of Hamas's war strategy. It uses civilians as human shields so that it can get, this condemnation of Israel from the international community. So this UN vote is playing into Hamas's hands, and actually calling for a ceasefire is advancing Hamas's war strategy.
Absolutely, Shari. I mean, in a time of war, governments have to hold their nerve. It is not the time to try and be all things to all people. And the contradictory and confusing messaging out of this government continues. You've got to hold your nerve. We've got Josh Burns, who's actually on the ground in Israel because the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Prime Minister refuses to go, saying no ceasefire. That is what the Labor MP on the ground in Israel is saying right now, while simultaneously you've got ministers like Ed Husic and Annika Wells saying exactly the opposite. We need a clear message from this government, and you cannot have Hamas being able to rearm, rebuild, reorganise so it continue its desire to exterminate the Jewish population from the Middle East. It's incredible. I cannot believe our government has, again, chosen to be more concerned about their pre-selections and elections, I might say, and appeasing the left wing of their party than actually standing up for what is right, what is democratic, and to be giving tacit approval to the anti-Semitic movement in this country.
Michael Danby, I've been sent photographs today of what I'm told is the Anna Schwartz Gallery in Melbourne, and the front of it has been defaced with anti-Semitic graffiti. This is the problem. The Albanese government continues to lecture, you can see the photographs now on your screen. The Australian government continues to lecture Israel, the implication that Israel's, not doing enough to protect civilian life. And then we see this rise in anti-Semitism in Australia. As you can see in that photograph, the graffiti says we support, you support the murder of babies. It's calling for a boycott of the Schwartz Gallery, saying Zionism is fascism. That's the reality of the Albanese government's position. It's fueling a rise in anti-Semitism. What do you think about that, Michael Danby?
Socialist left government, not a traditional Labor government, a socialist left government that's blind to these hatreds that it's building up by having these ridiculous positions on you're okay to defend yourself from Hamas until you actually do. These people are making for something worse to happen. I mean, you couldn't imagine a nicer group of lefties than the Schwartz family, particularly Anna and Maury. And here they get their gallery daubed by some neo-Nazi pretending to be a far leftist. This is going to get worse and worse in Australia. It's like those university presidents in the United States, Shari. Until people stand up to them, until Albo and Wong and all of these people stand up to people, including in their government, Husic, Burke and the pro-Palestinian legacy of Bob Carr, then this is just going to go on and on and on. started with Gas the Jews, which made Australia infamous, and now we're having galleries daubed. Will people be attacked next?
This is what worries me about, kind of, in a way, the Jewish response to all of this. We saw that Maury Schwartz has stepped back from his day-to-day role at his publishing house. He says it's not because of Gaza. That's what he says. We've also seen that a couple of the directors of the Sydney Theatre Company have also resigned because of that protest from Sydney Theatre Company actors. But Bridget, what concerns me is that, you know, I'm grateful for their strength and for their courage, but it means that you don't have people advocating for the Jewish community in the powerful positions, you know, like the directors of the Sydney Theatre Company. So that's what concerns me, that you know, that Jews might withdraw from public life in response to this anti-Semitism.
I think that's a rightful concern. You've got two powerful advocates of the arts community here in Australia being now victims of hate speech. And I think, to Michael's point, where are the police actually not waiting for a complaint to be made, but at some point there are institutions in this democracy that are supposed to uphold the law, not wait to be told to uphold the law. And so I would be asking the police to actually find who did that and prosecute them without being asked to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think that then provides the security, if you like, for these Jewish people in our Jewish community to feel safe and feel safe enough to stay where they are and be strong advocates, because otherwise they can't be assured that the institutions that are set around to protect them will actually step in and actually protect them. Because everything we've seen thus far from state governments suggests that there is some ambiguity around this and there needs to be clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I was going to end tonight, we don't have time to play it now, but a far-right Polish lawmaker has used a fire extinguisher to blow out the candles on a menorah, a Chanukiah, inside Parliament. Michael, this is just open anti-Semitism around the world.
Yeah, and it's been fueled by our weakness in standing up to the international coalition of people that hate us. That's appalling to see that in the Polish Parliament. I hope the new government there arrests him. And Bridget's dead right about the police. They haven't arrested one person who was yelling outside our iconic opera house, "Gas the Jews."
Exactly.
Arrest them. And Eric Beech's crikey is now saying that the whole thing didn't happen. I mean, what an upside-down world we live in.
Yeah, the laws are there. They've got to use them. Michael Danby, Bridget McKenzie, thank you both so much for joining me.